G'day and welcome to the latest edition of Rugby League Insider. We do it all thanks to the very good people at Fanatics TV. If you want to tune in via podcast, head to Spotify, Apple Music, all that sort of jazz. Joining me, as always, the co-hostess with the mostess, Darcie McDonald. Welcome.
Hello. How are we? How was the weekend?
Well, the weekend was busy, I tell you what, because there was a lot going on the field, and then we've got the Bronson Xerri bombshell off the field, which I'm sure your phone would have been running hot too, but we'll get to that in a minute. And flying off the top turnbuckle, as always on a Monday, here he is, Brandon Savage. What's happening, Macho Man?
Not much, very Macho Man. I'm very happy that we got to watch a full weekend of footy. I just parked myself on the couch and then I went to the rugby league club that was my local as well. So got to watch a lot of footy, which was very good.
What's your local footy club?
Panthers.
Oh, you went to Panthers?
Yeah.
Oh, how was that?
It was very good. I enjoyed it.
Have they still got Reactor 1 out there, or is that gone now?
What is that?
Well, it used to be a nightclub back in the day.
No, nightclubs are so dead now.
Are they?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm 33 years old, so I don't know what a nightclub is these days.
Mate, some of my best work, Reactor 1 back in the day. It's very, very good venue. All right, let's rip straight into it. We are going to get to every game today from the weekend. We covered Parramatta's cracking win over the Broncos, but we are going to get through all other 7 games. Your comments, look, they've gone Burko, so please keep them coming. We're going to open those up later in the week. I'll tell you what, I've been under fire. You've copped a little bit of heat as well. Very complimentary about you, Darcie.
For now. The tide will
we'll see what happens after this Bronson Xerri discussion. But we are going to tear straight into the biggest news story out of the weekend, and that is the Bronson Xerri bombshell out of the Bulldogs. Look, the initial reports were that he was going to demand an immediate release. That's been walked back a little bit after a sit-down. Augustus Goulds had a sit-down Sunday brekkie with Bronson yesterday. I think his agent was also involved in that. But the news is that Bronson's been axed to reserve grade. He won't be playing for Canterbury Bankstown against the Canberra Raiders in round 3. I found that a little bit left field. Now, Das, we've obviously got to declare you are also, you moonlight, your main gig is as the media manager for the Bulldogs. So I can only imagine your phone's been running hot over the last 48 hours.
Surprisingly, no.
Really?
So I was actually sitting on the lounge when watching the footy when the story broke. It popped up in a group chat and I was surprised too. And I thought, oh, here we go. There's my Saturday arvo ruined. Not a single phone call or text.
Wow.
I guess because what would I know, to be honest? Like, I am the media manager.
Everyone goes to Gus.
But I'm not sitting in the conversations, the recruitment and retention decisions. I'm not sitting in on the coaching. As much as I'd love to think I am, one of the big wigs and I'm making the decisions on who is in the team every single week, I'm not. Newsflash. So I guess, until I'm only really brought in when I need to be, when there needs to be a statement or something put out. So, yeah, my phone didn't line up at all, surprisingly. We did have media, though, a scheduled media op yesterday. It was already scheduled, though. So I was pretty busy yesterday because there was a fair few journos that came out for that. But, yeah, for me, it's like business as usual, as is the case, I think, for the players.
It's interesting because that was a similar sentiment that Stephen Crichton said when he fronted the media yesterday was, look, it blindsided us as a playing group. I wasn't aware of it. Then all of a sudden it's making headlines. So out of that coffee meeting, brunch, brekkie, whatever you want to call it, was probably at Joe Bell's out at Belmore, if they're sticking true to form, or maybe Canterbury Leagues Club.
Yeah,
Gus
I think
has got
it was the Leagues Club.
It was the Leagues Club, was it? They still got that Chinese restaurant.
They do, but I think it might have been at Bakehouse Cafe. If you haven't been there, it's beautiful.
I have been to Bakehouse.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, they do a very good coffee there. So look, reading between the lines, Bronson's got the shits here because he's been dropped. That's stock standard for any NRL player, especially an elite NRL player. Like, I rate Bronson extremely highly since he's returned to the game and been playing for the Bulldogs. So he's clearly disgruntled. I think the risk here, Darcie, from an outside point of view is, the Bulldogs, I really like what Cameron Ciraldo is building in terms of he's got an attitude where he just will not cop bullshit. if you don't want to train hard, if you don't want to work hard, if you're not buying into what we're selling, there's a door. Similar to what we saw from Benji Marshall with the young kids at the West Tigers on the YouTubes last week. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Where I think Canterbury need to be a little bit careful is off the back of Reid Marnie and Toby Sexton last year. This has a little bit of a feel, well, hold on, is Bronson Xerri now going to become the latest player at the Bulldogs who's going to be squeezed out? I think that's where it is it's a risky proposition, because if you get one disgruntled player, well, they obviously also talk to their other teammates who are in the top 30 as well, and it can just create a little bit of a walking on eggshells style of environment. I'm sure you're not going to agree with that.
Well, I think having seen how the playing group handled last year with Lockie Galvin coming in, and there was so much outside noise, and if you watch NRL 360, he was the headline every single night, and I think it actually galvanised the playing group, pun intended. Galvanised. No, it genuinely did. It brought them.
Do you reckon though?
Yeah,
but
I do.
But then when you made the finals. See, I disagree with that. Based on it, you're right about the 360 part and the newspapers, and it was back page, front page, and it wasn't so much. Well, it was because of the way that the whole thing had blown up spectacularly at West Tigers, and then also the fact that at the Bulldogs that all of a sudden it became glaringly obvious that Toby Sexton was going to get squeezed out. Then Reid Marnie also ended up getting tipped out as well. He's now up at the Cowboys.
But I would say that wasn't actually a result of Lockie Galvin arriving. Like, Toby Sexton was off contract. His manager had tried to get an extension, and the Bulldogs were holding off on that extension because clearly they didn't believe that he was going to be a premiership winning halfback for them. And I think the fact that he's ended up over in the Super League and rather than another NRL club is telling. But mind you, I don't know if there were other NRL clubs that came to the table and he actually just chose to go and experience life over in the south of France, which if he did, good on him, because he looks like he's having the time of his life. What
about Reid though?
And then with Reid, I tend to think there were conversations that were starting before a ball was kicked in the preseason. Just like every other player, they meet with the coaching staff, they're given things to improve on. And Serraldo has said this multiple times. He was given things to improve on and he hadn't. And they love Bailey Hayward.
Yeah.
They love.
Who is doing an outstanding job.
Outstanding job. He is, and I hope one day people get to see what he's like kind of away from tackling and whatnot and stuff on the field, because he is the utmost professional, probably the most professional player in the entire squad. He's an incredible leader and probably has the makings of being a future captain one day. And I don't know how much of it was about shitting on Reid and more about like, we see something really special in Bailey and we want to go all in on Bailey. And Reid deserves to start at an NRL club, and if that meant going elsewhere, then so be it. But the Reid thing had nothing to do with Lockie Galvin arriving to the club. They play different positions.
All right, well, we're going to have to agree to disagree because that ain't how I'm seeing it. I think that you're right about the conversations 100% every day of the week, Darce. And you are right that I think there was even a yarn that leaked very early last year, well before Lockie Galvin was anywhere near signing with Canterbury Bankstown. He was still playing for the West Tigers. That there'd been a conversation between Reid's agent and maybe the Sydney Roosters,
or
it was another club anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just riffing at the moment. I can't remember exactly which club it was, but certainly there was a little bit of smoke starting to emanate. Look, I think the challenge for the Dogs in terms of what Cameron Serraldo's got to handle here, and also Gus, is two players were moved on last year. Toby was off contract, fair enough. But the way it played out, and you touched on NRL 360, there was a lot of it unpacked on that show.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a concerted campaign behind the scenes where there was lots of information allowed to make its way into the public about Toby's strengths, also about his weaknesses. And I guess just purely from an on-field football point of view, at the moment, I think the jury's still out on the Lockie Galvin experiment. And maybe the fact that we're now seeing that Bronson may also be headed elsewhere, that's actually to put Matt Burton into the centres, and then Lockie goes to 6 and Mitch Woods, who has had huge raps on him.
Yeah.
Oh, well, mate, that's not coming off social. I'm not on any of that social media
I've seen a lot
stuff.
Of reports about that. Yeah.
I'm just riffing as I'm trying to read the tea leaves, and I have spoken to people around the game in the last 48 hours about this story because of the magnitude of it. I think there could be some legs in that theory as well. And all clubs, we should point out, all clubs are constantly trying to fine tune and tinker with what is their out and out best 17 and their best chance of winning a premiership. Where I reckon it's a little bit dangerous for the Dogs, Darce, is Gus has got form at doing this, right? He did it at Penrith, and ultimately that's why they got rid of him at Penrith, because as much as he was a genius at setting up the pathways and finally getting that flying, and he absolutely had a hand in Penrith winning 4 premierships in a row and the fact the club's as strong as it is now. But he's also one of those genius operators who sometimes he can get a little bit, I don't know, bored, for whatever you want to call it. Look, he's a highly intelligent bloke, but sometimes he can start picking the wings off butterflies. And that's, from my point of view, I'll leave you out of this one. Yeah. From my point of view, that's the risk around this Bronson Xerri story, is that if Bronson does get disgruntled and he does end up getting pushed out of the joint, and it is this year, perhaps at the end of the year, then what does that do in terms of the rest of the playing group? Because I'm sure he has got some players who he's closer to than others. Brandon, we've left you wide out on the wing there for all of this chat. We've just hogged the student for the opening 13 minutes of the show. Mate, I always love your read on things because you see things through a different lens. What do you got for us out there?
Well, you took it from me. I thought this was a play to get Matt Burton into the centres eventually. Obviously, the Lockie Galvin thing, they wanted to take heat off him, so they're not doing it straight away. I think they're going to transition it over time, and that'll be the long-term play. Whoever goes in there this week, they'll cop the pressure this week, but over time, I think maybe an injury will happen or form will happen, and that's when they make the move, and there's less media pressure around it. So that's my thoughts on what's happening. And I guess the conversation has been in the past, who makes way for Burton to go into the centres, and the chat was always Bronson Xerri gets dropped or he goes to the wing and Montoya gets dropped. At least when this is happening separately, it just takes a bit of pressure off everybody, I guess. So I think for them, there is a bit of a habit building for these players. I hate to say it around a Bulldogs person, so I'm sorry. It just feels like that these people come in and it's like you have a girlfriend and then she has a massive glow up, and then or you have a massive.
Whoa, hang on. I'll stop you there. You have a girlfriend and what?
No. It's like
what's that mean?
It's like you get a girlfriend and then you have a massive glow up, and then you see someone better, and then you're like.
Hang on. Sorry.
A glow up is basically they go from a 4 to a 7 or a 6 to a 9 or out of 10.
You got a bit of aura all of a sudden. You got a glow up.
So like,
is that because there's more activity happening anywhere, or how do you get the glow up?
No, I'm just.
It just happens. You just evolve into a glow
gym,
up.
focus on the skincare, maybe get some highlights in the hair.
Wow. I haven't heard the glow up before. I like it.
Okay. No, but like it just feels like the Bulldogs are leveling up, and Bronson Xerri just isn't in their plans, and that's okay because they're a professional rugby league club and they've got to live up to their standards. So I think it's fine for them. It does feel like that these players are getting pushed out unfairly, but like to some extent, they're probably not. The writing's probably been on the wall for a while, I guess.
I was going to say the beauty of the evolution of the Dogs is a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, when Sir Aldo first came in, he didn't have, I guess, the quality of players to be able to make big decisions and uncomfortable decisions for the betterment of the team and to win games. They were building, and now the club's in a position where you're in a premiership window. Yeah. So, it comes part and parcel with being a coach that you have to make decisions based on the team and who is going to help win the game. I remember, and I always kind of reference back to this. I remember last year when Galvin came in and he was playing off the bench and he got dropped for a game against the Cowboys. And the reason behind that, and Serraldo said it himself, he needed a four forward bench because of that game, because his job is to pick the best team to win each game each week. And, you know, I'm not close to the situation with Bronson. It's not really my business. But what I will say is the missing piece in this is Anari Tuala, who is said to be the person that's going to come in and replace Bronson this week. And what insight I can give on Anari is the coaching staff love him. They love the way he trains. They love the way he attacks and like training and his attitude and what he brings to the team. I remember when he came to the club, which was ahead of last season, he killed it in the preseason. He was one of the standouts and he was a red hot chance of starting in round 1 last year. I don't know whether it was going to be in the centres or on the wing. I'm not sure because it never actually happened. He broke his foot. Pretty bad injury. He missed a good chunk, maybe a third of the season. And then by then it was, you know, the team was up and away and it was hard for him to get in. So I'm actually genuinely, look, I want Bronson to stay. Love Bronson as a player and a person. He's a great guy, a really humble guy, great person around the club, has the most infectious laugh ever if you've ever heard it. It's hilarious. And I hope, and I know his manager's come out and said that he's advised Bronson to go back to New South Wales Cup, fight your way back. And I think that would be great for him, a really character-building moment in his career. And at the same time, I'm really happy for Anari Tuala, who has been knocking on the door and pushing for an opportunity, and he gets it. And I'm excited to see what he can do with it.
Well said, Dus. Look, adversity is not the worst thing that can happen to you, trust me. And I think that Bronson, I hope he does heed his manager's advice and that he goes back, he works hard, he knuckles down. At the same time, and look, I haven't seen a lot of Anari in the NRL lately. From an outside point of view, I'd pick Bronson Cherry every day of the week over Anari Tuala. That's just my opinion. But look, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to this story. We'll probably be talking about it with a mouthful of marbles for at least the next 2.5, 3, 4 weeks, maybe months.
Maybe.
Something to look forward to. So stay tuned to NRL Insider. But let's rip through what around a footy. So we've launched into orbit in Vegas. We've completed round 1. Now we get to round 2. And it was just as good. It delivered right on cue. I'll tell you what, Newcastle, super impressive, but at the same time, huge injury blow. We now know Kalen Ponga is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks with a high-grade hamstring tear. That's hugely concerning for the Knights because by G, he started this year in brilliant touch. And then their other $1.3 million man, Dylan Brown, is also going to be sidelined for at least 4 weeks with an MCL injury to his knee. This is devastating, guys, because both have started the year in blistering form. They've been dubbed the Cruz brothers, and I can see why, because they both got that very laconic, laid back. They don't look like too much phases them. But I'll tell you what, when they have got the steeding in hands, they have both absolutely got it in spades when it comes to footwork, speed, finesse, all those quality elements of the game. Impressive win, Darcie, by the Knights to be able to lose 2 gun playmakers. Look, they're the highest paid players in the game, both of them, right? They are both the highest paid players in the game. And for the Knights to lose both of them before halftime at a hostile, sold-out Brookie Oval and still find a way to win, you can't help but applaud Justin Holbrook.
Absolutely. I think when Ponga went off, I thought, oh boy. And then when Dylan Brown looked a little shaky and didn't come back on in the second half, I thought this is, you know, they deserve to win this, but it's probably going to unravel for them and Manly are going to come back. And then I think they only conceded one try to Manly, and then I think they scored another couple. The way that they were able to keep it together, reshuffle everything. Fletcher Hunt, I think, went to fullback.
Yep.
You've got Phoenix going to the halves, which of course was his original position before he kind of transitioned into a hooker. And then young Harrison Graham coming into hooker and played big minutes. It was his club debut for the Knights as well. The way that they just got on with it and didn't it was actually a statement too, because a lot of people probably would say the Knights are nothing without Kalen Ponga and Dylan Brown.
Absolutely.
And they've gone, you know what, watch this. The next 6 to 8 weeks, they're going to have to continue on with it. But it was a statement game for them. Massive, applause for Justin Holbrook and the entire team as a whole to get on with it. Their forwards had to play big minutes because obviously losing those 2 players had, cost them interchanges and whatnot. It was a really good performance that the team and the club should be proud of.
Enormous display. And you're spot on. Look, 2.7 mil in your cap to be gone up in smoke in 40 minutes of football. I don't think, the Newcastle side of last year, who had the worst attack in the comp and finished up with a spoon, there is no way they are beating the Sea Eagles at Brookvale Oval. So whatever Justin Holbrook has done over the course of the off-season, it has clearly struck a chord with the playing group. I love the way, and I think he's going to prove an absolutely critical signing, that Sandon Smith stood up and just owned the team. He didn't always make the right decision, but over the course of the 40 minutes where he had to be the primary playmaker, conductor, the big kahuna, the hamburger with the works, he absolutely handled it, right? And he got the job done. He helped. He pulled the right calls at the right times with his kicking game, made a couple of errors along the way, but I thought his leadership in terms of being the primary playmaker was critical for Newcastle being able to win that game. Off the top turnbuckle, over on the right wing, here he comes, Brandon Savage. What do you got for us on the Knights?
Despite Manly being super poor in attack, I think that was a factor of it. But Newcastle were just so good. Fletcher Hunt came in and he played better than I've ever seen Fletcher Hunt play. Harrison Graham off the bench, he's someone I think they can use him throughout the year. So given their depth is so good, I thought Phoenix Crossland did a really good job on the edge. Matt Croker was very good. Dane Gagai, he was so good. Just he's got like spiders on him every time he runs.
How old is he?
35?
He's a machine.
Yeah.
I know, but they had the second best defense in the competition at round 12 last year. So they didn't really need to fix much. With all their superstars that they have in their side, they just needed to fix a couple of things in attack. Fletcher Sharp has come in through the offseason, obviously didn't play on the weekend, but their attack's going to come, and if they're a well-coached side, they'll do really well. So their defence is fine, and they defended Manly very well. I'm excited to see what they can do this year. I think they're going to be exciting to watch.
I think the best rap we can give Justin Holbrook is, as you just pointed out, Brandon, their defence was relatively decent last year, but their attack was horrible. And whatever Justin has done over the course of the summer, now the style of football that we're seeing from Newcastle, they're playing nice and flat and fast over the advantage line, and it's just the forwards banging down the front door, which is what Warren Ryan used to always go on about many, many years ago when he coached Newcastle with a lot of success. If you're going through the front door, just keep kicking it down, just keep kicking it down. That then allows you to play off the front foot, and your halves can just react to whatever else is going on in terms of the game situation. And that was why in the sample that we did have when Kalen and Dylan were on the field, that we were seeing some of the freewheeling, awesome attacking footy that we did see. Sandon then even continued that on in the second half. So massive rap for Justin Holbrook. Love what you're doing. Good story whenever the Nova Castrian faithful are up and about, because it is rugby league heartland and they bleed blue and red up there. Now let's switch the hourglass around and get to Manly. Putrid. Absolutely putrid from the Seagulls on their home deck, Brookie Oval, sold out. Look, they had a crack against the Raiders at least a week earlier against the depleted Newcastle outfit, missing its 2 best playmakers for 40 minutes. Manly were horrible. Coach Anthony Seabold says he's not panicking yet. And he's been in this scenario before where he's been 0-2, and then I think he said he's gone on to make a prelim final. That must have been at Souths. Look, when Manly are getting booed off and the fans are leaving in droves, that gives you a yardstick of exactly what they dished up that day. I felt for Luke Brooks. He got lost on the opening play of the game with that kickoff and misjudged it. Then they were forced to scramble off the back of that. Newcastle scored immediately with their first touch of the ball. And Manly, Brooksy then had some nice touches, but he made some bad calls too. And ultimately, Manly's forward pack was stood over and bullied. How did you see it, Darcie?
They just didn't want it. That's how I saw it.
That's fair.
That play where Ruben Garrick, I don't know if he intercepted pass, gets tackled. Jason Saab's there for backup, then runs out of the screen, and no one's at dummy half. That was diabolical. Like, that's rugby league 101. Granted, maybe Jason Saab thought he was going to take the next carry. Whoever was at dummy half was going to pass at him, and he was going to take carry. But like, where was everyone? I know they're gassed. I know they're exhausted. And I don't know if that's a fitness issue or whatnot, but they just did not fight.
Yep.
And that was embarrassing for a team that has so many experienced players, has so many strike weapons, on paper has a decent team.
Oh, it's a good roster.
Yeah.
That is a good roster.
So that play, just for me, it summed up where their heads were at. They didn't want it, which is so disappointing. A big game at Brookie Oval, like, fans, the sun, like, life was good there, and
Sunday Arvo, you're never going to get it better.
They really kind of had a golden chance with Dylan Brown and Kalen Ponga off the field, and they just could not capitalise on it. If they can't capitalise on that, then I'm scared for them.
Savage off the top turnbuckle. They've got the bye in round 3, and then it's the DCE Cup at Brookie in round 4. What was your take on the Seagulls?
I am worried. They seem like a bunch of individuals that aren't united, and it feels like ever since the DCE thing last year, Ruben Garrick's already signed with the Roosters next year, so I worry that there's disgruntled members throughout the whole camp. Brooks, I thought he had a really good game apart from those 2 bad reads. I thought he ran the ball really well, but I think
rocks and diamonds, I reckon, Brand. It was rocks and diamonds. He come up with some nice, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
I think he had 3 try assists. Like, he was, when Manly were actually clawing their way back into the contest, he was leading the way. But then there were some other moments I think you'd like to have again.
You can't be making mistakes like that when you're a 250-game 5'8". So I think there's going to be a bit of a transition period. I feel like the club has already made a decision on Anthony Seibold. All the rumblings have already happened, but it's just more about when, not.
Say that again about Seibold. What was that?
I feel like they've made a decision on him already.
They've made a decision already?
Well, no, I feel like it's going to happen, right?
Talking about bold predictions.
No, it's going to happen, right? When these talks happen and the club is acting the way it does, this has been happening for too long. It's more about when, not
like it's too
if.
far gone
Yeah,
for him,
I think so.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, we were jibber-jabbering about this last week. I actually thought he was off contract this year. He's signed for next season as well, right? So I think that does kind of change the chessboard a little bit. But I will rip the Band-Aid straight off and shoot straight from the hip. They don't look like a united playing group to me.
Yeah.
There were cracks at Manly last year. There were leaks coming out of the dressing room about the fact that they weren't all necessarily buying what Anthony Seibold was selling all of the time. I don't think it's anything personal in terms of the players are off him in that respect. But the mail that I get is certainly that not everybody's on the same page. I don't think everybody has full belief in the game plan, and I think that's now becoming glaringly evident as the games wear on. Darcie made a great point about the Ruben Garrick intercept. I don't know what the hell was going on with Jason Saab there. I get that he's thinking, hang on, I've got to get back out to my wing. But the fact that the nearest Manly player was Jamal Fogarty, who I did think was one of their better players yesterday, was still another 15 metres behind. That summed it up. Similar story the week before in Golden Point against the Raiders when Ethan Sanders had an hour and a half to kick that field goal because Jakey Turbo was the only one who'd been at marker and went, hang on a minute, it's last and we're in Golden Point. I better try and put some pressure on the halfback. So it's pretty simple stuff. I don't think the bye comes at a good time for them.
No.
Yeah.
If I'm them, I want to keep playing. I read in the paper today or somewhere over the course of the last few hours that the bye's come at a good time for Manly. I couldn't disagree more. They need to be out there. They need to be – their forward pack looks second rate compared to the opposition that it has come up against. Of course, Jake is always going to be holding his gloves up and having a crack. But I think the injury to Siwa Torquiaho really hurt them. I think Dalton Hetherington's young bloke, Kobe, was trying his guts out yesterday. But I look at their middles and then you look at some of the other big guns in the competition and Manly are going to get blown off the park every day of the week. And I feel for Tommy Turbo because he's been handed the captaincy. He's an ornament of the game. He's an icon of that club. His try yesterday showed you, like, he just bulldozed and carried Phoenix Crossland across the line. That shows you how much Tommy wears his heart on his sleeve and what Manly means to him. And you could see in the press conference, he's hurting. They're all hurting. I don't know how they fix it, but there are a lot of problems at the Seagulls.
Maybe the bye has come at the right time. Maybe they just need to go on a harbour cruise or something.
Harbour cruise.
A harbour
Like the
cruise.
Broncos did.
Yeah, like the Broncos did.
Didn't work initially for the Broncos,
No.
but it come good.
No.
It did come good in September.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone wants to buy in round 3.
No, I'm with you. Yeah,
Like,
it's too early doors.
yeah.
You're trying to get some rhythm, build
want
some momentum. You want
momentum.
it later in the year when everyone's
Absolutely.
busted and walking around like a
And
MASH
when you're
episode.
coming off, when you're 0-2, you want to change that. Quick, smart.
Absolutely. The Harbour Cruise. Who are you taking on the Harbour Cruise if you're going to go out? You can organise the entertainment. Who's coming?
Oh, like in terms of Manly players or?
Nah, not the players. Well, the players have got to go. It's a
Okay.
Harbour Cruise, so it's one in, all in.
Well, you're taking Beaver Menzies, of course.
Oh, I
You're
like this.
taking
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Beaver Menzies,
Yeah.
Kieran Foran.
Maybe Snake.
Yeah.
Get Snake Stewart in there.
Yeah.
He was part of the coaching staff for a long time there, Snake, but I think he's taken a bit more of a back seat this year.
Yep. Spud Carroll as well,
Yeah.
probably.
Spud, yeah.
It'd be a good time.
Oh, Spud, just take heads off, just decapitate people. Just kill them, just bash them.
You know, just throw them overboard.
God love him. He was on the footy show yesterday. He was
Yeah.
playing Wild Thing on the guitar.
Oh.
Very, very good.
Man of
Spudley.
many talents.
He is a very good human being, Spud. Righto, let's keep launching through all these games. Friday night, awesome scenes. Allianz Stadium. AJ smashes the record, gets a double, does it in style after half time. Das, what was your read?
Oh, like, what a moment. I was sitting on the lounge, scored the first try. All right, here we go. And then Latrell finds space just before halftime. You see AJ on the wing, and you could see when the ball was in his hands and he can see the try line in his sights, and his eyes just were so wide. He was mouthing something to himself. Like, he knew it. This is it. Do not drop it. Do not trip over. This is your moment. It was incredible. And what made me laugh was the first fan into the huddle was a Roosters fan, not a Rabbitohs fan. It brought the game together. I know that the NRL was saying no one run onto the field. That was unfortunately never going to be the case. The scenes of how many fans got around him was genuinely amazing, once in a lifetime type of moment for a fan. We'll all look back at that and go, where were you when AJ broke the record? Really, really cool. And then the rest of the game, it was interesting, wasn't it? Because they had to be taken off. They go back into the sheds, and I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in both sheds, because you have the Rabbitohs who are just high on adrenaline, the type of feeling of you just want a Golden Point thriller or something like that. They're high-fiving, hugging, wow. Wayne Bennett had to kind of reset them in a huddle. And then you could imagine how the Roosters would have been such a weird feeling for them. Watching this great guy achieve this amazing record, but they also conceded a try. So they go back into the sheds and they get straight back to business, and they came back out and ultimately won the game.
The scenes were fascinating watching it on Fox League, where you had the cameras showing the insight within the Bunnies dressing room. And to me, and I'm not about as far removed from a lip reader as you'd ever find, but it looked as though Wayne was basically saying, righto, the game's not bloody over.
Get it together.
This bloke's just created history. It doesn't mean a thing unless we go out and we get the 2 points, and honour him and pay him the respect that he deserves by winning this game. We're not going to remember this game if we get rolled, right? Or it's not going to mean as much if we get rolled. But to him, he's going to remember it for the rest of his life if we go out and we secure victory, especially against the blokes who they were playing against with all of that history. Then you went to the Roosters. Holy dooly. You could have heard a pin drop. There wasn't a lot of talk, and they were all kind of just sitting around into the distance, into the ether, and I was like, oh, hang on. I didn't know what to expect after watching those scenes. But look, credit to the Chooks, especially credit to DCE. I thought he showed a lot of class and a lot of resilience. And look, we expected a bounce back factor. I thought he was going to have a tough night, and I said it on this podcast last week. I thought that left edge combo of Fafita, Cody, Latrell, Little Jai Gray, the Energizer Bunny out the back, and then AJ. I thought, shit, after what we saw from the Chooks in Auckland, I know where they're going to be targeting, and he could be in, it could be put the shoulder pads on and away we go style of a night. Robbo reacted well to what they dished up in Auckland. He's put Siwa Wong straight back in there, Robert Toya. So virtually a new look right edge. Essentially, he's got two different players around him now, DCE, from what he had over against the Wars. And, well, they held their gloves up immensely, enormously, a lot better. So good signs for the Chooks. I'm liking, Brandon, that now they've got to face the Panthers on Friday night at Allianz Stadium. What was your read? I should point out you went very close to your multi. You had Teddy for anytime try scorer. Friday, what are we calling it? The Friday fill-up.
Friday fill-up.
You went Teddy anytime try scorer into the Chooks 13+. You just got a little bit. You know what? Was 13 plus more or less than 1 to 12?
I think it was
more?
More, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say you got a little bit greedy, but look, you were
potentially.
You were very close. No cigar, but you were very close.
I'm pretty happy with my prediction still. I was pretty confident the Roosters would win.
You were?
Yeah. Teddy scored at the last moment, which was good. But the scenes there on Friday night were amazing. My little brother went, who's a Parramatta fan, and he doesn't usually go to games like this. So people were going there just to witness the moment. And the jersey change
that was
midway through the game.
Different gravy,
wouldn't it be cool if he just wore that for the rest of his career? Like the gold jersey?
The golden too.
That'd be awesome.
I wonder if Souths will persevere with that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he does hold the record now. He's scored more tries than any other player.
I feel like that jersey will be framed up.
Well, it's interesting that they got the other one that he scored the double in and went past Ken Irvine with.
Yeah.
As soon as they went into the sheds, that was straight off and he got the gold number on. So
frame both.
That'll be, yeah. Something to think about. I'm sure the bunnies will be all over it. But you were saying your brother was there, or
he was there and he ran onto the field. He had a good time, and the numbers did very well on social media when Fanatics posted their visions as well. So I think I got 1 million views, which is crazy.
Holy dooly, 1 million views,
crazy. Yeah,
jeez, I'll tell you what.
Warren was there. He posted his footage, and so was our other editor Ryan. So. They were both there as non-Roosters or Rabbitohs fans. So it was good signs, but the Roosters to spoil the occasion like that, I think Wayne said after the game in the press conference, he was with Alex Johnson. I think the journos wanted Wayne to give him a wrap and he refused. He was like, I've already given him a wrap over the last 2 days. He's got his wrap. We didn't win the game. So that was the main thing. So the Roosters did very well, and I'm excited to see what the Roosters dish up over the next couple of weeks, because I think that although DCE, I thought he had his hands on the ball a bit too much for Sam Walker. Just like he played very well, but I thought that combination...
they won.
Yeah, I thought that combination would work differently, where Sam Walker would have control and DCE would be more of the second fiddle, but it didn't seem like that.
Great pickup by you, because that opens up an entirely different conversation. I think the plan was that Sammy Walker was going to be the primary conductor and running the show, and that DCE was supposedly going to play more of a traditional 5'8" second banana style of a role. But I think after what got served up in Auckland, from an outside point of view, it looked as though DCE was more. Well, he's run the show for however many 100 years it is at Manly, Queensland, when he's played for Australia.
It'd be hard to take
a
step back.
Yeah, it would be a little bit of foreign territory, having to take on a different role. So shouldn't be surprised about Wayne Eastwood or Clint Bennett pricking the balloon when it comes to celebrating publicly, but I can guarantee you privately, he would have been pumping 100%. AJ up deluxe, and the club will make sure. I think Souths as a club deserve a massive rap for the way they handled that whole occasion and that whole scenario. They tried to do the right thing and tell people not to run on the field. Then when they realised that the floodgates were open and the horses bolted, they just went, you know what, let it roll. We're going to do flying and fizzing. We always do that every Monday. I'm actually going to do my fizzing now. Your brother was out there amongst the throng of fans. I love that. Fans pay their money. It's a historic moment. If they decide that they want to go and celebrate something like that, then absolutely play on every day of the week. But one Palooka who I reckon should have stayed in the corporate boxes with the hot party pies and the Shiraz that he was swirling and all that sort of thing was the PM, Albo. Mate, piss off. Get out of the bloody way, mate. You're not, no, you didn't play for Souths, right? Okay, you're a South supporter, good on you, right? But no, that was not the place for you. And the other thing was, so they tell people not to go on the field, then they all go on the field. Then he waits till they're all kind of dispersing and the security and the coppers are starting to get a little bit more of a handle on things. And then he decides he wants to walk out with all his, flanked by all his security staff and his secret agents and all that sort of jazz. I thought it was, a bad go. We don't talk politics at all on this program and we're not about to break that rule now. But Albo, I know you'll be listening, mate. Complete Palooka. Don't do that again. Righto, that's it for the Bunnies and the Chooks. We wait and see what happens in the next rendition of Rugby League's oldest grudge match. Let's tear into suburban footy, absolutely flying. Those scenes at Leichhardt Oval, Saturday afternoon. Everybody loved them. Sellout, I think it was their biggest crowd in about 5 years at Leichhardt Oval. The scenes looked absolutely spectacular. And it was similar at Brookie yesterday, you know, like they had to put the sold out sign up again. But the Tigers, Benjiball. A lot to like about this, Darcie. A little bit of shades of 05 about the style of football that the new Benji Marshall has got the West Tigers playing. I like the fact that Benji has evolved as a coach. We discussed it last week. I think the holidays to Fiji mid-season are gone. Benji's fair income, and that's not that he wasn't fair income before, but I just think he's realised, you know, he's obviously gone and done a lot of reading and looking to grow as a coach and as a bloke. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from Benji and the Tigers so far.
Yeah. I said last week off the back of the YouTube episode that came out that Benji talked the talk and now it's up to the players to walk the walk. And they did it they did it with swagger. Like they were so exciting to watch. They looked so confident as a team and they also looked really united as a team and like they were having the time of their lives at Leichhardt Oval. They were really, really exciting. You can tell they were bursting at the seams to get out there after having a round one bye. And I'm happy for the Tigers fans. Like they have been to hell and back.
Been around a few S-Bends, Darce, over the years.
So I'm
head in the toilet and just press flush.
Really happy for the Tigers fans. They should feel good about this season now. They should feel excited. Who have they got next? I think they got the Rabbitohs.
Yes, Souths up at Gosford
so
Saturday.
That'll be a good challenge for them.
Yep.
If they back it up, then high hopes for this season.
Yeah,
Maybe they could sneak into the 8. I don't know.
Yeah, no, look, I'm definitely not going to try and get the gurney out on that statement just yet because very positive signs. They've had a lot of false dawns, so they definitely need to be wary. But look, Benji's been around that club virtually his entire life since he was a teenager. So he's going to know how to try and just temper what was an awesome victory. And now it's all about Souths, which is a cool matchup because Wayne's one of his mentors. Benji spent a lot of time as a player in Wayne coach teams. So that's going to be a fascinating matchup this week. Brandon, before I come to you, I really like the way that the Tigers had a simple game plan. It was forwards rolling and then Appy off the back of that, playing at speed, generating ruck speed and momentum. And then I like the fact that Jerome Luai is back wearing the number 6 again. That's his best position. I think he's much better off having the weight of having to, organise everything and structure everything taken away from his shoulders. Let Adam Dewey be concerned about being the number 1 kicker, or where we need to get to at certain stages of the game or whatever, what points players want to try and hit on the field, and just let Jerome roam and play what he sees, because I think that's his best game in the number 6 jersey, and I like the fact that if he can continue that style of form, well, he's going to draw comparisons to his coach. So that's a good starting point for the Tigers. Brandon, off the top turnbuckle, what was your take?
I thought Adam Dewey at halfback was really good as well. I think with his him calling the shots and allowing himself to be free and do what he wants to do as well really suits that side as well. And I've said it a couple of times on this podcast that coaches tend to do well when they coach to the team they have, not the team they want. And this team is coached perfectly to the team they have. And I feel like over the last couple of years, the recruitment has signified that as well. Kai Pearce-Paul coming into the side, scored a double. I think he scored 3 tries for the Newcastle Knights in total. Scores a double as soon as he comes in, offloading the ball at will. So they're not trying to turn Doreen Buller into a ball player or anything. He's just really good at his backup support, and just everyone's playing to their strengths, and it's so good to see. I think the Tigers, if they played every game at Leichhardt, they would be in the top 4 for sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Actually, while we're on Leichhardt, I saw an article in the paper yesterday where they need 5 mil. So obviously it's going to undergo a complete upgrade, I think, at the end of this season, and it should be ready for the start of 2028. But for some reason, they've snipped back 5 mil, which means they can't now put a roof on the grandstand that's going to be at the northern end. So they will completely make over the Latcham Robinson grandstand, which is the primary grandstand. Yep. Then you got the Keith Barnes, which I love is heritage listed, and you can't touch that. That's generally where the players and their families watch the game from. And then you got this grandstand, or there's no grandstand there at the moment. It was scaffolding at various stages. But they're going to put a different stand there, but they've snipped 5 million off the roof. Come on. Surely. Albo, don't worry about getting on the field. Just throw the Tigers another 5. It's only 5. Surely we can find it somewhere. Because otherwise you're out in the elements at the 8th wonder of the world, and you got to get the ponchos out.
Yeah, it's rough.
It makes a lot more sense.
I've seen a couple of comments on the YouTubes asking who you support and
who I support.
Asking who you support. Do you support the Tigers?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay, good. Because the way you were talking about it just then, I was like,
people feeding them asking that.
Yeah. I didn't know either.
I've declared out loud and proud ever since I first started working in the media.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
because just the way you're talking about it,
I was a Balmain fan as a kid growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously when they merged, it was a little bit. Look, my parents did get divorced, so I understand what that's like as well. It was a little bit like meeting your mum or dad's new partner, a little bit awkward at the beginning, but then thankfully they went on the rock and roll roller coaster ride of 05, and that galvanised and united everybody. And then we've only made 2 final series since, and we've spent a lot of time swirling around the S-bend, unfortunately, Brandon. But I'm loyal, so black and gold never fold. We will always stick with the Tigers.
Nice.
Their opponents, the Cowboys. I'll tell you what, we spoke about Anthony Seibold earlier, but Toddy Payton's the other coach who is certainly well and truly in the headlines early doors after what the Cowboys have dished up. Bitterly disappointing, a lot of unforced errors. Given all the attacking strike weapons that they have in that side, they haven't really fired a shot yet. And similar to what Seibold's going through at Manly, it kind of looks as though not everyone's buying what Todd is selling from a playing point of view. What did you think, Darcie?
Well, they're all my fizzing for the week because we've touched on it so many times. They have a team on paper to compete, and similar to Manly, where there was that Ruben Garrick, no dummy half moment that summed up Manly. For the Cowboys, the Adam Doueihi try, for him to he looked like he was held. And then he just barged his way over.
Through Torbalolo.
What he's doing. Adam Doueihi, take nothing away from him. I'm sure he's got strong legs or whatever, but he's not 150 kilos. You can't tell me that those players can't hold him up. Taumalolo was just kind of, I don't know what he was doing, hugging him. And, I think Reid was kind of watching. It just... how are you letting Adam Doueihi cross that close? Same thing. They didn't want it. There was no desire. And we know that they can attack when things, flow well for them and they have the strike, but their defense has always been their problem. And it just doesn't look like it's going to get any better.
Brandon, your read on the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think they're playing way too conservatively for what roster they have. It just seems like things aren't working well for them at the moment. They've got a good roster and I feel like they can do well, but just things aren't clicking. It's just like the Manly side don't seem conjoined. They don't seem like they are buying into the game plan. So, I don't wish ill upon coaches. And I think, as you said last week, Todd Payton's a good coach. It's just, it doesn't seem to be working out at the moment.
It's a tough gig being an NRL coach, and they all know when they go into the hot seat the pressure that it comes with. At some stage, I heard Tim Sheen say it numerous times throughout his career, there's only two types of coaches, those that are waiting to be sacked and those that have been sacked. So at some stage, you buckle up, you're on the roller coaster, and at some stage, because of the way that it rolls, certainly in the modern game, there's so much scrutiny on every single play of every single match being analysed nowadays. There's just nowhere to hide. So, look, I said, similar to you, Brandon, I think Todd Payton is a good coach. I think Todd will get another opportunity in all likelihood at another club now because the way that the Cowboys have started, it's going to be very hard to arrest the way that they are trending. There doesn't look to be a lot of buy-in from the playing group. Yeah. And why I say he's a good coach is based on the year that they made a prelim, like the style of footy they were playing then, the way that he's been able to work with the players that he's got over the course of his tenure there. Ruben Cotter's kicked on, Tom Dearden's kicked on, Scott Drinkwater's kicked on. That's all happened under Todd's coaching. Helam Lukey, right? Yeah. He missed all of last year. He'll be, the fact that he is back, the more game time that he gets, we're going to be talking about him as long as he stays on the field as one of the better back rowers in the competition. That's all an example of good coaching. I think he's made brave decisions too. Like there was a stage last year where he axed, I think it was Clifford as the halfback and went with Purdue in the halves. So he's, and that was when their season was already one and done. I think Todd's a good coach. For whatever reason, it feels like maybe his voice is starting to wear a little thin amongst that particular squad up there.
We talk a lot about players playing for their coach, but what about playing for each other? Your coach can guide you and whatnot, but at the end of the day, why not rally together? Don't you want to win? And
of course.
And simple moments like soft defense, also play for your own brand, your own reputation, for yourself. We always target the coach, and of course, at the end of the day, if a team's not winning, it's the coach that pays the price. But these guys are,
they're professional athletes.
Professional athletes.
And
they've been
well
playing
paid.
Since they've been maybe 6 years old, a lot of them.
Yep.
They know how to tackle. They know how to defend. They know the basics. And you're paid to turn up. And, I don't know. They just, didn't look like they were even playing for each other.
Very good point, Darcie. I'll tell you who did look like they were playing for each other, the Wars.
Up the Wars.
Up the Wars.
Yes.
They are on fire. You want to talk about good coaching? Well, let's talk about what Andrew Webster's doing over in New Zealand, because he lost his strike halfback last year in Luke Metcalf. And look, brutally honest, I didn't think Tanner Boyd was going to make it as an NRL player. Completely egg all over my face. Get the reverse sound out. I take it back. I take it back 100% because what he has shown over the opening couple of rounds of the competition has just been first class halfback general play. His kicking game has gone to a whole different level this year. His organisation has been fantastic. And the Waz are one of the best stories of the new season. What was doing, you'll be able to help me here, Savage off the top turnbuckle. What was doing with Cameron George and the CEO and the tears? What was, I sort of half caught that, but didn't really pay that much attention.
He was telling him to go home.
But did Joey Tarpanay do that in the finals or something last year?
Yeah. That's something like that happened with the Waz fans.
I thought that was a bit, anyway. No, look, it's the greatest game of all. Anything goes. So we encourage that
I'm
sort of
so happy
thing.
for Tanner Boyd. Like, he has not had a simple journey, right? But I remember when he was at the Titans and he was touted for big things, right? They thought he was going to be.
What did they call it? They compared him to somebody who was a gun. Was it Scott Prince?
No, I can't remember who it was.
But he drew it. You're right.
Yeah, he was going to be their long term number 7. He was was he going to partner Toby Sexton? Maybe
possibly.
And AJ
well, there was big raps on Toby too because he came out of
the two of them, and AJ was going to be the fullback. I think they did this big photo shoot on the on the beach and everything. It was the answer, right? Didn't work out. He's had to come back and forth, drop between grades, swallow the pill that he is the backup, but hasn't let it get to him. He's taken his time in New South Wales Cup or Queensland Cup when he was at the Titans to just work on his craft, and he's gotten these opportunities and he's taken it with both hands, like a try, 2 try assists, and I think he kicked a 40-20 as well. Brilliant. So happy for him. And like I said, has shown Warriors fans, no Metcalf, no worries. I can steer this ship until Luke Metcalf comes back. And dare I say, when Luke Metcalf comes back, if Tanner Boyd continues this form, perhaps Chanel Harris-Tavita
possibly
is under pressure.
Or maybe even because he's coming off the ACL, Metcalf has to have one run in Reggie's, or they work it out, or they bring him back off the bench. He had an outstanding season last year, Luke Metcalf, up until he had that injury. But look, it's a good headache for Andrew Webster to have. Savage, it's a hyphenathon over there, the New Zealand Waz. You got Watini Zalesniak, you got Harris-Tavita, you got Fisher Harris. There's that many of them. It's
Nickel Klukstar.
I love it, Nickel Klukstar. But the one who is one of my favourites, and he got to play, I think he played 80 minutes Friday night against the Raiders, Lecker the Wrecker, Halasima. You must love him. Is he in your Supercoach side?
He's not, because he started on and off the bench through the start of this season. So Capewell injured himself in the warm-up, so that allowed Halasima to come on. But he scored 2 tries, and he's only 20 years old. He's played 31 games. He's had 16 tries. So every 103 minutes, he scored a try in the NRL because he doesn't play 80 minutes every game. So he is a weapon, and just put him out there more. I feel like what's Andrew Webster saving him from? He's a destroyer. He's Lecker the Wrecker. He lives up to his name.
The other bloke who was phenomenal and deserves enormous credit is Jackson Ford. Yeah. So the way he was, I remember when he was coming through at the Dragons, and I'm fairly certain he's a South Coast junior. There was always big raps on him.
Yeah.
And I think Anthony Griffin was the coach at the time, and he got a little taste, but he certainly wasn't getting big minutes. And I don't know, there was just something about him that I thought, all right, I reckon this kid can kick. He looks like he's got a bit of a hard edge to him. Went over to the Waz, started his transition there as a back rower. Now pumping out. Did he play nearly 80 minutes? I think he played 70.
He played a long amount of time. I can check it.
I think, it's all cool. I think he played 76 minutes Friday night, and I think the week earlier against the Chooks, he played 80. So the fact that, again, example of good coaching, Mitch Barnett's out, right? So Andrew Webster goes, okay, what am I going to do here? And you could kind of see that he was starting to use Jackson Ford more in the middle of last season anyway. But now he's clearly told him, mate, rip in, change your physique slightly, Get ready to play in the middle, and this is going to be your new role. And he is flying and absolutely reveling in that position. So a lot to like about the Wars. 6-6 at half time. I still had the Raiders in this game. Where did it all go so wrong?
I don't even know. Is it momentum? I don't know.
It was wet.
Obviously the conditions were horrific, and the Warriors are probably more primed for those types of conditions.
Yeah, Canberra, the Raiders are used to it. They train in that sort of shit all the time.
I don't know. Are they, bit of a come down from the previous week? It's been a big start to the season for the Raiders, actually, because after that Golden Point game, they went straight over to New Zealand.
Yep.
Acclimatized, went into that game. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what went wrong for them. Obviously, they conceded way too many points and couldn't respond. But I'm not too concerned just yet.
I'm not overly concerned. I didn't like the fact that it blew out to 40 plus. That did worry me a little bit because I've certainly got them as top 4 contenders once again. But one man who might be able to solve it for us is out here on the left wing. What's your read on the Raiders?
They only lost 2 games 13 plus last year. So to nearly lose to Manly, who had a terrible performance on the weekend, so maybe Manly weren't as good as what we expected, because Canberra have played a Manly side who they were close with and got the win over. That's taken pressure off what their form guide actually is. The Warriors, I thought they were the better side than the Warriors in the first half, but the Warriors really held on and adapted to the situation. So I think the Warriors really performed well there, and they probably went with the wind in the second half, so that probably allowed them to really come out and finish the game. I'm interested in Canberra because I think they are a good side and they've showed really good signs, but this year could be different, and we could be having a read of them that is a false narrative. Like they play the Bulldogs this week.
Yeah, it's going to be.
We've gone early.
No, not saying that they're worse than what we expect them to be, but this week we'll be telling.
They get Big Papa back this week. Papa Lee.
Yeah, he was out for
That'll
HIA. Yep. Yeah. But play the Bulldogs on Thursday night. So
put that one in the calendar, kids. Doggies Thursday night. No Bronson Cherry, but I tell you what, both sides. That was one of the games of the season.
Oh, yes. Unbelievable! Yeah. Critter came back second half, carried the team on his back. Yeah, that
was a phenomenal game. Yeah. So if that's anything to go by, we're in for an awesome instalment. We do it every Monday. Flying, who's shooting themselves out of a cannon, super impressive, and who's fizzing. Darcie, you've already done your fizzing. It was the Cowboys. What about for who impressed you?
Suafalongo, the Storm fullback. I was cheering because I brought him into my Supercoach team ahead of that game against the Dragons. 3 tries, a try assist, 3 line breaks, 2 line break assists, 13 tackle busts, and 126 running meters. He is such a special player, a crafty player. And I know there was a lot of tears and sadness when Ryan Pappenhausen retired, but when you have a player like Suafalongo who can step right in, the Storm are lucky. He was brilliant for the Storm, who just keep rolling on and looking like dead set premiership threats as per usual again.
Yeah, they're a juggernaut, but their ability in the recruitment space to always have not just plan B, but plan C and plan D. You go back to when Ryan Pappenhausen was initially at the club. I think they still had Scott Drinkwater there. Who was in front of
Jerome Hughes? Sorry.
Hughes,
So you had Billy Slater, Jerome Hughes, Ryan Pappenhausen and Scott Drinkwater all on the books at the one time. I tell you
Cameron
what,
Munster.
They do know what they're doing down there. Very, very good in the recruitment space. That's a shout out to Frank Panisi and Paul Bunn. Brandon, Melbourne Storm, what did you make of them?
I thought they were really good. Going to WIN Stadium is very tricky sometimes against the Dragons, and they just outperformed Harry Grant, just absolute weapon masterclass once again. They're going to be tough to beat this year, just with all the 6 agains. I think they've adapted really, really well to it. So Fa'alongo, I was a bit skeptical on how he'd come out and how he'd adapt into the system, but they've come out flying for sure.
What about the Dragons?
Poor. good signs. Daniel Atkinson had a really good try assist. That was a wicked ball. They're going to take some time to warm into the season. I think Vegas took a bit out of them, but I'm really high on the Dragons. I think they'll get out of this little hole. I don't think they're probably a top 8 side, but I think they'll come out of this and perform well this year.
They look tired.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I didn't think they were
I
great.
sound like Gus talking about Ivan Cleary.
You do.
They looked tired. I don't know. They just looked like they were lacking. And I was excited for that game because the Dragons always aim up against the Storm.
Yep.
And they were for a bit. And then their heads dropped and the Storm just knew how to get the job done and absolutely obliterate them. But yeah, they looked like they lacked energy. They looked aged. They just... Yeah, I don't think they'll play finals this year.
I think you're bang on. Traditionally, I think they're flat out making sure they don't get the spoon. And that's not being too brutal or overstated. That's just on from what we've seen so far. I love their willingness to fight in contests, and that is a hallmark of all Shane Flanagan coached teams. Generally, they always roll the sleeves up and they will drag you into the arm wrestle. That's one of Flano's specialties. But I just think the roster that he's got, and he's only been able to recruit a certain way because there's only been so many players available on the market. Look, the halves are still an issue, and that's going to be the elephant in the room for the Dragons all season. Does he persist with Kyle, or does he decide, okay, maybe I've got to go in a different direction? What happened with the gun kid? He went to Souths, didn't he? Was it Glover?
Jonah Glover, yeah.
He's not at the Dragons anymore, is he? Okay, so in terms of
Souths.
Depth in those positions, are there other alternatives at the Dragons, or is it basically
King
it's
Togi?
Cade Reid.
Yeah, Cade Reid. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
He's a bit young though, so
Maybe a bit raw.
that's going to be look, and it happened last year, and we're just being real. There's no BS on this show. That's going to be a narrative again for the majority of this season, unless they click and start winning games.
To be fair, they played the Bulldogs and the Melbourne Storm in the first 2 weeks, so it couldn't be much harder matchups in the first two, and they really performed against the Bulldogs. So maybe they were tired, and coming up against a red-hot Melbourne Storm side isn't an easy task.
No.
So might take him a couple of weeks to click and get back to that Shane Flanagan coach side.
In fairness to the Red V, until Sewer started doing the twinkle toes, Fred Astaire footwork clinic, what about the 360 spins?
Yeah.
And then someone else cut and paste that yesterday. Who was it? Another fullback tried one on yesterday. he's done a, what have been, was it Ponga? Anyway, but that is an awesome move, the way that Sewer
pirouette.
can move. I'd like to see him, the pirouette, the triple pike, the kick flip, everything. It's all in there. Until Sewer put that clinic on, well, the game was in the balance, but I didn't see anything from the Dragons that gave me a lot of confidence that, okay, this is a side that's, one, going to be competing for the 8, or 2, any chance of actually doing something. So I think Flano's assessment when he was over in Vegas about they're not winning the comp this year, that was definitely bang on. And then let's see what they can produce over the next month or so. Rightio. What else have we got? We've covered a hell of a lot of games.
What's your flying?
Well, my flying was the Penrith Panthers this week. I think them against Melbourne is going to be a crazy matchup. Like, Penrith's defence this year has been spot on. They've been every player has played their role to a T, and then Melbourne have been just flying with energy. So I think when they match up for the first time this year, that's going to be one of the best games of the season. So I think it's 52-6. They've won in their first 2 matchups. They're going to be tough to beat this year.
They're the ministers of defence, far out. Like, so when they had that little hiccup at the beginning of last season and hit a few bumps in the road, it was the defence that was letting them down, and very uncharacteristically, because they'd been the best defensive team in the competition for the past 5 seasons. They just started leaking points, and it was weird. And look, they had some new players that hadn't quite adapted to that system yet, but the likes of Casey McLean, Isaiah Papali'i, Blaze Talangi, all those blokes who have now had 12 months becoming more accustomed and growing inside the Panthers system and academy. I tell you what, the defence would be what's pleasing Ivan the most, I think, Darcie.
Absolutely. They looked pissed when they let in that try. Like they looked like they just lost the game. And that's the makings of that champion. Like that just tells you they're a champion side. They're upset about letting in a try versus, the Cowboys who bloody let Adam Dewey waltz on over. Do you know what I mean? That's the difference between the champions and the teams that are so far off it. Those just letting in one try is upsetting them because they demand excellence and they prepare for excellence. They were clearly aiming to go to finish that game conceding no tries again to start the season with 0 points scored against them. But yeah, far out. Like they're brilliant.
They are. They are going to be damn hard to roll this season. Can't wait. Friday night, don't miss it, Allianz Stadium. They will be playing Cock-a-doodle-doo, the Roosters, and that should be an epic game. Now, their opposition, the Cronulla Sharks. A lot of hype after they'd put 50 on the Gold Coast, and rightly so. You can only play who's in front of you. Look, I didn't think the Sharks were that bad. It was more that Penrith were on. But I do think, Matty Vorton's going to be on this show later in the week. He declared last week he hasn't got the Sharks as a top four side. He does think that there's just something missing there that means that essentially they are a little bit of premiership pretenders. Well, you got to take Penrith as the litmus test, and if that's a litmus test, then they've still got a fair way to go before we're starting to talk top four or grand finals for the black, white and blue. Brandon, your read on them? Yeah,
if the Sharks are doing this in the back end of the year, that's when it's a worry. Round 2, you're happy to do it. Like they only let in 26 points, so 26 against the Panthers. I don't know. They played the Broncos last week who did exactly the same. So I'm not reading too much into it. I think they'll bounce back well, and they're a real well-coached side. So not reading too much into it, but that being said, you thought the Sharks would have earmarked this game as a game they want to prove themselves as contenders because they haven't beat Penrith in the last couple of years. They beat Melbourne, but they haven't beat Penrith. So I think they would have wanted to get up for this one, and they didn't really. So back to the drawing board, and hopefully towards the back end of the season for them, they can put up a better fight. We might look that up. When is the last time that Cronulla beat Penrith? That could be something that we'll revisit again tomorrow. But we've got to get to the final game of the round, 6 o'clock last night, the blockbuster between the Dolphins and the Titans. A lot of interest in this game based on no one saw the Titans getting blown off the park by 50 in the opening week of the competition. So a lot of interest and eyeballs centered around what's the response going to be. I was pretty impressed.
Same.
I felt for them. I thought they had done enough to win that game. I wasn't overly impressed with the Dolphins at all, but I genuinely felt like the Gold Coast had won the right to collect the 2 points and open their account for the season. But then unfortunately, when it was in the balance, the Dolphins played the right cards and came up with the right answers, Darcie.
Yeah, I feel the same. I thought the Titans were the better team for most of that game.
Yeah.
I was happy for them to respond the way that they did. There was no try scored for a big chunk of the game. They were really fighting for each other, and they wanted to have a response, and they did. And then, of course, Isaiah Katoa, Hammer, those players for the Dolphins just make it happen when they need it to happen. But yeah, the Dolphins were very underwhelming. I've seen a lot of people say that they might make the 8, and even, I had belief that they could make the 8. So I expected them to put a clinic on against the Titans, especially after what the Titans dished up in round 1. But they just weren't, they didn't fill me with a whole lot of belief. I want to see Trey Fuller kind of find some. How
do you fit him in though?
Don't know.
You got to put Hammer in the centres.
Maybe, but then
so what's that? Where's Averillo?
Exactly. So I don't know, but he's just such a lethal good.
Oh, he's a strike weapon every day of the week.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, your Friday fill-up was only a shandy from making the putt. Selwyn, he scored a try. He just couldn't get a double.
Yeah. Look,
And they got the result
Dolphins
for you.
were struggling to score tries as it was until the end of the game. So
I like what you're saying about a lot of people, a lot of experts were talking the Dolphins up as potential top 4, certain top 8 contenders. Look, there's no question Izzy Katoa is an out and out. It's not a case of, he's becoming a superstar. He already is a superstar. Like, to be doing what he's doing at his age is a brilliant and awesome to watch unfold achievement. I love watching the Dolphins play because I enjoy watching him play so much, and the way that his game is constantly evolving. You can tell that he watched a lot of Andrew Johns as a kid, and that he's even studying a lot of him now, the way that he can read the game. But I think one thing that's going to be crucial for the Dolphins that hasn't been spoken about a lot to us is no Jeremy Marshall-King at the moment. He was one of their best players last season, and I feel like, Flegler's still coming back from a couple of years out. Gilbert's the same. He's off a bad injury. I feel like I do get the impression that they can actually make some waves in the competition, and I have got them pushing for the 8. But I just think at the moment they haven't really hit any sort of rhythm or balance yet. And the player who really impressed me for the Gold Coast was JJ Fafita.
Yeah,
he had a great game.
A couple of try savers.
Yep.
Like, he really aimed up.
Yes. How did we go? Brandon Middleton over there.
Penrith versus Cronulla?
Yes, Penrith and the Sharks.
So Cronulla have beaten the Penrith Panthers once since 2018. They beat Penrith in 2018. Since then, they beat them in 2021 by 1 point. So it's been a while.
This is why statistics are... So hang on. When's the last time they beat them? 2021.
2021 was the last time they beat them, so 5
they haven't
years
beat
ago.
them 22, 23, 24, 20. So they haven't beat them for 4 seasons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Righto. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
We got to the bottom of it, as
Yeah,
always.
I don't know why I
mate.
put in that 2018 one. Just
that's all right.
Once in 8 years.
This is the thing with statistics. This is why I don't necessarily like them, is because, like Johnny Lang used to say, they're like matches. They're dangerous in the wrong hands.
Oh, yeah.
No, you can read them whichever way you kind of want.
Yes.
Sometimes
You can skew them how you like.
You can skewer them. You can make them suit a narrative. Righto, have we covered every game? I'll tell you what, we've talked the paint off the walls and then licked it back on. I think we have covered every game. That's what we're going to be doing here from now on Rugby League Insider every Monday. That's what we're going to be doing here from now on Rugby League Insider every Monday, is reviewing all 7 games. We will have already covered, if there's been a Thursday night one, we will have already covered that on the Friday. But we're going to review all the games. We're going to have the edgiest news story and then all the other permutations out of the weekend's round of football. We're going to have fun. We're going to have banter. We're going to have flying. We're going to have fizzing. What do you think of me giving it to Albo today? Did you like that, or you liked Albo out?
Yeah, it was good.
Oh,
I thought I agree with you.
Oh, no?
No,
you agree with me.
I agree with you, but doesn't bother me, to be honest.
He's a palooka. Why is he? Stay in the corporate box. He's got the goal pass. He's going into the dressing room anyway after the game, right?
Not that deep.
He doesn't need to get out there.
I'm not his biggest fan, but I don't care.
That's interesting. I like that.
Everyone was on the field.
It's interesting getting a different read. I wonder. I would have liked to have been in the lift when he's had to jump in with Robbo. So when he's gone down in the goods and services lift, and Robbo was in the lift at the same time. Yeah, so I wonder, and Albo's got the South scarf on. I would have liked to see how that conversation went down. Anyway, we won't ever solve that great wonder mystery of the world. But what we will solve is we're going to be here 5 days a week talking all things the greatest game of all, rugby league. Make sure... hit us with your comments. Hit us with your best shot. Don't worry. We won't be offended.
The social media guy might, though.
Oh, yeah. Warren Livingston's currently the one who's responding to people on the YouTubes. So if you get a spray off the Fanatics handle, that's Woz. Woz, come on, mate. Pull your head in. We're trying to encourage comments here. The show's flying. We're loving life. And we're especially enjoying you being tuned in. So let us know your feedback. We'll see you all again tomorrow.